Okay, welcome back to my reaction to clips that I've seen some of before, but not all of them. We've got a theme of today that I'm going to go through as I watch these clips. Try not to get distracted by some of the weird things going on. Here's my theme of today. I had someone come up to me and say, "Hey, why are kids so bad these days?" And this is in comparison to maybe when I was growing up, the skill level. There's a lot of different factors, and this is such a loaded question. But when I heard it, I knew what was being talked about, number one. And I'm wondering if people watching this video feel the same, are unaware, or they don't really have any reference point because maybe their kid is going through sports for the first time. But I think everybody has different information in their experience, whether they played sports before or they've had other kids go through the process before. But yes, I do agree that we're dealing with a different athlete now than even I was dealing with at the very beginning of my coaching.
This is actually created, invented, founded by Amanda Fama.
Christmas tree drill is what's happening over there. Apparently this was around Christmas time, and I'm going to go back to my thought. So as far as difference of kids now versus before, this is completely distracting over here for me. But difference of now, we've got social media. We've got a lot more practices and opportunities. We've got a lot more teams, a lot more tournaments. We have what's going on kind of in the world and this movement towards more ease in our life, because with more technology, we're like trying to get everything to be easier. Technology has solved a ton of different problems for us, but in turn has made just life more easier. When if I'm looking back on my life, the things that I learned most from were the things that I kind of struggled through and had to learn how to overcome. And now a lot of people don't have that opportunity to do so. So life has changed. So it makes sense that our athletes have changed with that. Now, in terms of the original question to me, why are kids so bad now? I think this has to do, like, I understand the sentiment. Now, I'm going to explain that I think this is in different parts, right? And I wrote down 3 different things because this was important to me. Whoa, what is happening over here? Looks like crazy spider crawls, bear crawls. This is the Christmas tree drill. Okay. Wow. That's a lot. Good thing I wrote some notes down, because wouldn't know where I was. So, kids now. The 3 pillars that I want to address: motivation, this idea of mental toughness versus weakness, and then lastly, game situations and implementing skill. Because in all of these ways, our game is, or life has changed, or the situation for each player has changed. So let's tackle motivation, or let's tackle just like the drive to get better. Largely, and when I think about the people in my classes, I think that the people that we serve has morphed a little bit, because originally when I started this, I was serving a lot more travel ball people, because a lot more travel ball people knew who I was. I was just graduated. There weren't very many like infield classes. There were just less team practices. So this was, again, 12, 13 years ago when I was just starting out. I had a lot of future, not a lot, but like I would say majority of my students would be thinking, okay, I really want to play in college. I'm thinking D1, D2. I'm doing these practices to get to college. And now majority of our students are uh, younger. Like, just if I was to take a poll of who was in lessons, a lot of them are younger right now. And so we're just getting a lot more beginners, and they're just at the beginning of their journey. But we're teaching them the same thing. It's just in terms of motivation, the motivation is to have fun versus motivation to Christmas cookies are going on up there. The motivation to have fun versus the motivation to like learn as much as you can because I want to be the best and I need to go D1. So what I'm talking about is I'm personally am dealing with different athletes. That's what it seems like. Because now when people or when organizations, when there's more teams, when there's more money being like going into softball and more opportunity, I think there's more lessons that are an option for a lot of kids. A lot of these travel ball organizations now have mandated like field work within their organization. So I lose a lot, or I have lost a lot of customers in that regard. So who has been filling my weekly spots is more rec kids. So I think when this person posed this, though, they weren't talking about my population specifically. They were talking about the broad, like, hey, kids are just not as motivated. So I am speaking to what I know week in and week out. I also understand that there is like a sort of fire that's been a little bit extinguished. And I think that has to do with there's more like mandated time that has to go into travel ball, that has to go in even rec ball. When I played, we practiced and played just on the weekends. And I had one hitting lesson that I went to during the week, and I had to figure out how to fit it in. Everything else was done on our own. So now, with kids starting at 8 years old, they have to do softball 4 or 5 times a week. It's a lot. And I think it's burning us out. Not because it's too much activity. It's just it's too much of one thing. So it's kind of deflating when you're a kid and possibilities are endless, and maybe I'm a softball player, but maybe I'm a basketball player, maybe I'm a writer, maybe I'm a painter, maybe I want to be a vet when I grow up. And all of these things are being shrunk down to just, oh, I need to be the best softball player possible. And it's just kind of like, okay, this is my life. And they don't get to explore and be a kid. And I think that has something to do with it. I think us limiting the possibilities in that regard. Yes, the reps need to happen because competing for a spot is a true thing. But as far as kids like really looking forward to softball, I don't think that's happening as much. And I think that's contributing to motivation and drive and fire and all of that.
We're here. Back foot's down. Drop and then go. Yeah.
I think we're doing outfield throws over there on the side. Let's see. Can't tell.
Here. If we can't feel the difference, it's going to be tough. Yes. That's an outfield throw.
Okay, yeah. We're doing outfield throws. That's cool. Okay, let's talk about the idea of mental toughness. Now there's a lot of old school coaches that I'll go and talk to them, and they're like, man, kids are weak now. Kids are weak. They have so many excuses. Like, we can't tell kids to do anything. We can't tell kids to do this or that without, like, being reported. And this is across a lot of different levels of softball, because there is a much bigger focus on, like, okay, what's actually right and wrong? Are kids be like, and it's really a little bit of a mystery as to what helps kids, what gets them stronger, and what's like too much? Where is the line?
I don't think we got it.
And that's a really confusing place to be when mental health is a big thing when kids are growing up anyways, but then you put sport in it and it's really hard to discern. Like for some kids, it's great for them. And by it, I mean the tough love, the pushing, the conditioning, having consequences. And for others, it's just too much. So it's a really hard thing to be in the middle of, because on one side, you've got elite athletes. You have to be a little bit crazy, a little bit like self-absorbed. And by a little bit, sometimes it's a lot of it. And so these people are different than the average. By definition, they're elite. So average people would not be able to do 6 a.m. workouts, or wouldn't even want to do 6 a.m. workouts plus a whole day of school, plus practice, plus study hall, plus homework. I mean, even like, let's just look at college students that aren't athletes. That's even like above average, is like going to college and continuing your education. So when you think about what we're doing in terms of creating these hyper specialized, hyper talented, overtrained, maybe not overtrained, but highly trained student athletes, the line is pretty thin between the mental game and mental health. So I think in terms of mental health, there's things that youth athletes and their parents need to be aware of, but really the mental health conversation is happening at the higher level, where these athletes are already being like super hard on themselves. And then after that, they're still being pushed and still like somehow being mistreated. Like the mistreatment is what we're trying to like clue in on. But how do we define that is a really big question. So, and when is too much? How do we know that we're like just making adjustments for more of the average performer, not even performer, but person that doesn't need to be the very best? And in reality, the D1 players, the players that have competed for the spot, for scholarships, for being on the best of the best teams, ranked in the top 10 every year in the country, what are the, like, should there be a difference in rules according to like the actual end goal? And I know I am talking like through a really sticky subject, because as I say it out loud, like, no, there shouldn't be a difference in rules in how the human being is treated, and what is like the baseline, like what is allowed a coach to do and what's not. But it's just so, to me, some athletes really thrive in being pushed and having expectations. Now, I think there's like the time limit of practice absolutely needed and not going over. I think because individuals can go and practice on their own, doesn't need to be with a team. Like, I would love to know all the rules that have been put into place since colleges have been focusing more on mental health, because I don't know all of them. I'm not in college currently. But mental health is such an individual thing that I'm just really wondering the new rules. I saw one that was just signed and passed. Let me see if I can find. Had to do with a Stanford soccer goalie who actually committed suicide, and her parents investigated, and there's a whole story on this. Her parents investigated, and because nobody had any idea this was going to happen. Obviously, there's just like so many things that go into somebody falling into this mindset. But uh, what ended up happening was this was a senior, a fifth-year senior on the Stanford soccer team. What ended up happening was probably a week prior. I'm probably going to botch this story, but I just want to give everybody the general idea. Is a freshman on that team was in some way harassed by somebody on the football team, and after that, this fifth-year senior saw that football player, knew that this incident happened, and like spilled her coffee on this player. And it would seem to be it was on purpose, like trying to back up her freshman younger teammate, but also like kind of starting a confrontation. After that incident, the fifth-year senior got a letter from a university uh, a university I'm blanking on this word, but from the university, it's like a specific word I'm looking for, but can't find it. From the university saying, basically, you're in trouble. Your degree is on hold until all this is investigated. And one other thing. And that was the last email that was open on her laptop, like the night that she had decided to do this. And again, a lot goes into this. Maybe it was just that. Maybe there were other things going on. Obviously, I don't know. But a law was put into place that when when a student receives like disciplinary letters, or they're charged with this, with like within the school, they have the ability to seek guidance instead of having to do it by themselves, or go to their parents and like be embarrassed, or whatever the case might be. So I'm wondering like what else has been put into place, because that seems like, again, common sense, and I think that's what it's called too. It's a common sense law that was just passed. Like, yeah, students shouldn't feel alone in those situations, especially when there's like she had a reason. It wasn't like, okay, if she could probably take it back, she would have not done that. But also, like, is that going to be the reason why she doesn't get her degree from Stanford? Probably not. And that probably could have been sorted through. But also, with just people that are in that state, we never want them to feel alone. But yeah, going back to my point, like, where is that line? I think we're all figuring that out together. And in the process, there's pushback. In some cases, athletes are called weak because it's, okay, back when I was going through it, I had to get through this and it made me tougher. It made me better. But I think multiple things can be true at once. I think, one, we don't have to do it like we always did. And two, we still want to develop toughness, but there has to be ways to develop that without like beating athletes down, or thinking that they have to do everything by themselves, or they feel alone in other situations as well. So lots of thoughts on that, and that was just the second bullet. Okay. The last point that I had in why athletes are so bad right now, quote unquote, or I'm going to say so different. A lot of kids I see that go and play, some of the skills don't transfer from lessons to a game, or they don't understand the situations. Like they're really good at the actual skill, like the one thing that they can do like in a vacuum, but when they go out into the actual game, into the real world, we're not able to translate that. And I think the reason why is because there's such a hyper focus on practicing reps and instead of competing. Because before, say, when I was growing up, we actually played way less than we play now. But now it seems like a lot of the tournaments are like exposure tournaments where, okay, you're going to play this game and this game, and so is going to play this game and this game because their college wants to see them play. It's not about like maybe who's the best all the time. But yeah, that's just an observation of mine is even though we're getting more instruction than ever, even though we have more technology than ever, there's more money in the sport than ever, it seems like kids are less players and more just skill performers in some cases. But there has to be a way to simulate pressure, simulate competition in practice if you want to get better at being a competitor. I mean, it sounds so simple, right? If you want to be a better leader, if you want to have better mental skills, if you want to be better at performing when the pressure's on, put yourself in those situations more. So some would say, okay, then why is playing so much bad? It's not if the best players are playing. It's not if it doesn't just breed these conversations about like playing time and politics and all that. And it's not if players are actually being coached within the game. I think the issue arises and this conversation of, well, we're just playing too many games because a lot of coaches will just manage the game and not coach the situation, not coach the mechanic, not coach the skill involved in like, oh, we need a leader in our infield. How do I teach communication, eye contact, presence, like all the little tiny details that goes into being a leader or creating team culture. It can be done with game time, but often that's very difficult to have to be aware of the lineup and who's playing and signs and what's actually going on in the game. Like, it's kind of too much, but different arenas call for different focuses, and games, a lot of times we're going to get better at playing games, but we might not get better at the tiny skills involved within them. It's a lot of talking just to myself about this topic, so let's see what's going on in this lesson. I'm going to turn this volume up on my end. I think we got these kids mic'd up. What's happening? You got it right here. Yeah. Sometimes we mic the girls up. See if they talk about their adjustments. You're good. You got it right here. X has just been nice. Cheering on her teammate here. also weird seeing everybody in pants right now in this video because it was filmed obviously around December because we had the Christmas tree drill. Right now in Anaheim it is like 90 degrees. It's pretty hot. One of the hottest days of the year so far.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to see who's actually mic'd up and why did we mic up people that don't talk. It's so funny.
Yeah. Oh my god. Protect the athletes.
Got not a lot of words. Not a lot to go off of here.
Yeah.
So just another lesson, though, that I'm really thankful to have. Enough workers, enough consistency in my workers that when I'm hitting live balls, I have a coach down here to give quick adjustments for live. That's almost never been the case, so it's been pretty cool. It's a very long clip.
Down.
Hoping to switch it up here soon. There we go.
Carlos was all the way across the warehouse, not paying attention to us, and then he put his headphones in, and I have the mic, and it was like, "Hey, can you hear me?" And he looked up, and knew it was me. I got nothing. Missed the entire lesson, so we're just gonna rewind it afterwards, and we're going to pretend like I haven't taught it after the lesson. Creating energy in our feet. Creating energy in our feet. You're gonna see two different things. You're gonna see them starting in this RDL position, feet still, moving through, because there's a lot of different ways to create energy into the ball. Difference between softball and baseball is that we don't have the shuffle afterwards, so we need to be ready right away. Okay, so
clearly I tired myself out with all the
starting from standstill
because
RDL.
now I'm sleepy.
I'm going to give you a routine ground ball. You're going to start with feet still. How quickly can we slam toe down, basically step on the gas, slam toe down, get right foot set to throw. Then, next round, we're going to give you 2 approach steps, field, throw, then end with 21 outs. All right? Go. Go. Create it with your feet. Feet.
I remember this lesson now.
Good.
Creating
Hands
energy
already
with our
out.
feet.
Good. Go. Push. Good.
I'm actually going to film
Go.
this so that we can do it again. I actually really like.
Go. Good. Not a step. Just toe down. Toe down. Go. Okay. Now you guys get 2 approach steps. 2 approach steps. Let's start back. Chest low already.
Create energy with
1,
our
2.
feet.
1, 2. Come on. Okay.
Yeah, we get stuck in our heels, so I think that first round of that.
We're doing 3 steps.
First round of that was just kind of getting us from middle to toes instead of waiting back on our heels.
2 steps only. 1, 2. So you guys aren't doing your prep. You're already in your approach. No prep. No prep. Scoot up. Right there. Okay, 1 more each. No prep. Scoot up. Last 2. There. Last 2. We get 1 step. We get 1 step throw, or else she's safe.
I don't
Get rid of
know
it.
why I'm doing this for so long.
Okay.
I must have gotten angry.
Ready? Live? 21. Christmas burpees. Christmas burpees.
More than Stuart sometimes because she's a great athlete. I'm a great athlete myself, and it's always a competition. I invented Christmas tree burpees, and now she's using that against me. But it's fine. I accept the challenge. These girls can get 21 ounce, and I'll be doing some Christmas tree burpees. But I'm going to invent New Year's burpees and see if Morgan can do those at groundwork January 4th and 5th.
Don't worry about it. Seriously. Okay. Let's go. Left foot in. Last lesson before Christmas. 2 taps. Ready. Go. Thank you. Hold on. Do that again. Did we not tell you how to do this before? Okay. 2 taps on the ground. Then high five with your glove. Okay. Ready. Go. Merry Christmas. Bye.
Merry Christmas.
Thanks. What looks bad on you? I got them all. Oh my God, who cares? Like, they laughed and then they were serious. Then they're like, oh. They're like,